Well, hello and welcome to the China Masterclass webinar. My name is Paul Sutton and I'm one of the co-founders of LCN Legal. I'm joined by my fabulous co-host, Sally Maya Yip, who is an expert in the area of PR in China. And I'm extremely excited to have as our special guest today, Colin Dai, who is a superstar in the area of China-related tourism. And amongst his many accomplishments, he was instrumental in the launch of Virgin Atlantic's service between Shanghai and London. So I'll let Sally introduce Colin properly in a few moments. But first of all, just to set the scene, I'd like to say a few words on what this webinar series is about. So the China Masterclass webinar is all about the question of how to create long-term trust, value and relationships in China. And each session we invite a leading specialist in their field, a leading expert like Colin, to share his or her experiences, and really with the objective of giving you, the listeners, some actionable insights that you can apply in your own businesses to either break into China for the first time or to expand and scale up your business in China. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Sally to give a fuller introduction of Colin.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Paul. And thank you so much, Colin, for joining us in Shanghai today. It is really our honor to have you with us. Colin is a very dear friend of mine. I've known Colin for a few years now, and I would say Colin is really the expert in the travel and hospitality industry between the West and China, connecting millions of Chinese travelers for different Western destinations and companies. Colin has been leading marketing and new business development activities in various airlines and travel companies such as Fosun Qatar Airways and Trip.com. And most recently, Colin has joined Fosun Travel Group, which is one of the largest privately owned conglomerates in China, with total assets of $102 billion as of last year. And in this new role, Colin is the head of Asia business at Thomas Cook UK Travel and Lifestyle, which was used to be a British travel company. So with the mission to help 100 million Chinese families worldwide to travel overseas. So today's webinar is really about Chinese tourism trends, how to attract and build long-term relationship with Chinese travelers in the new normal. So to kick off with, the first question I would love to ask Colin is, who are these Chinese luxury travelers? How do they find information and how do they decide where to go when they want to travel overseas? Thank you, Colin.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Sally, for having me, and thanks for the introduction. Yes, for the Chinese growing luxury Chinese travelers can be the two groups of the travelers, with the upper middle class family, Chinese upper middle class families, and also the successful young millennials. So those is all the major two groups of the luxury Chinese travelers. So for all these Chinese luxury travelers, they are very much influenced by the both online and offline, the touch points. So everything is media and the social is everywhere. So they for all these luxury travelers, they plan the trips to UK, to Europe, to the North America, very much based on the friends and the social media's recommendations, inspirations from friends, social medias, and also like the WeChat letter read book and some famous social medias as well. So they will often mimic the itinerary of the travel bloggers, key opinion leaders, celebrities, and then to prioritize those photo-worthy sites, like the destinations to go. So those photo-worthy destinations do not necessarily have to be the must-see attractions traditionally associated with destinations like the Buckingham Palace, Big Ben for London, but can be just a shop front that looks trendy, or a shop that sells tasty snacks or the refreshments, like the gelato stores in Covent Gardens, as electric. So that's lots of the photo-worthy locations for the Chinese people. So when they're traveling to the United Kingdom, so we found that our travelers, the most Chinese luxury travelers are based, the customer base are two most common activities, are either visiting friends, families, or they do some shopping, do some luxury shopping, the big brands shopping. So this can be the Harrods, Selfridges, Best Villages, Liberty, or the Burlington Arcade as well. So for the student markets, they will often buy the things online too. For the shops like the John Lewis and Waitrose, so this could be the most of the Chinese travelers, luxury travelers can be getting more sophisticated, and they want just some in-depth and unique the UK experience, and to experience the UK's the culture, tradition. They want to have to experience like the English afternoon tea, the horse racing, and for the hot balloon rides, on the golf tournament, the whiskey experience. So this can be the most of the luxury travelers are looking forward to when they visit the UK.
Great.
That's really interesting. So obviously, Colin, you got a wealth of experience in this area. So the question I'd like to ask is, in terms of really specific strategies, really specific tactics that you would use or you actually use in terms of attracting customers and building long-term relationships, are there any specific tactics that you would recommend as being reliably working time and time again that you would recommend people to use?
Well, yes, of course, the exclusive service of the exclusive the service, the professional service will be very much needed. And of course, for the Chinese, especially for the Hainan Wars, they are looking for some Chinese consultant, bespoke tour. They are looking for some bespoke tours, like they have some Chinese consultant, Mandarin speakers, and also understand the UK market, speak the good Mandarins, and make the communication with them for the specialty. And also, we found those kind of the social medias as also particularly effective. So they were using those social media platform as a searching engine to find how to perform the certain actions. So those social channels can give those travel-related business the best return on investment so far. And also for the Hainan Wars, the customers say we also, which I'm just mentioned, they're looking for some local bespoke tool to understand their drink, food preference or their kids' preference. So this can really improve the loyalty and the stickiness with the luxury and Hainan Wars travelers.
Okay, and in terms of social media and return on investment in terms of engaging with social media, what would you recommend? Is it paid for advertising? Is it just a content-based strategy? Is it partnering with bloggers and celebrities? What would be the top number one or number two strategies that you would come back to time and time again?
Yes, I would say, especially at this stage, the content is always very important. I think for the content for all these video clips, the live streaming is always the very most effective way for those travel-related or the retail-related business to drive the more travelers business, because though people love to. For Chinese, especially for this middle class or the luxury travelers, they love to starting from the storytelling to purchase to make the trip. So that's very important. So for the content marketing, for storytelling, live streaming, and all this broadcasting, so it's improve the marketing and improve the engagement too, and also for the ROI as well.
Okay. Do you mind just talking us through exactly how would live streaming work? Can you give an example of how you'd set that up and what impact it might have?
Well, especially for this year, for the travel business, especially because of the pandemic situations and for the COVID-19's impact. So lots of we call it the queen of the live streaming, and we're in association with some entrepreneurs or successful the owner of the business owners to do the live streaming to showcase the best location, best the hotel, and best experience, and which boosts the sales for triple and even more. So it just in an hour live streaming, you can find the sales is really and generate in a certain level. So this is we can't deny this is the most practical and effective way for the travel business, especially under this current circumstances for the live streaming, because you are just showing and to enhance, to motivate all those travelers the desire to visit the location. That's or the hotel.
Okay, and in the context of COVID and the measures that might have to stay in place for 6 months, 12 months, maybe longer, what do you see that the trends are going to be in 2021 as regards outbound business travel, or rather outbound tourism from China? How do you see that developing in the high net worth market?
We expect the consumption to remain predominantly local in the next 6 months or so. For the consumption's behavior to shift temporarily towards e-commerce, because the Chinese consumptions abroad can be mainly driven by the Chinese residents in the overseas countries. Like, for example, the Chinese students or the young professionals, they may want who won't return to China to be with the family while remote working in the West. So this is remained normal. So for the high net worth, for the luxury audience, the personal hygiene, the travel safety is still at the top priority and the most concerned issue they are looking for. And so this is some precautionary measures. I'm sure lots of my previous companies for the airlines, they also do lots of the precautionary measures to the passengers in the business class, in the premium economy and economy. They always to take into different kind of precautionary measures for those travel the long haul flights.
Really interesting. Thank you. Sally, do you want to ask
one question to ask Colin, if I may? So we are still very much in the COVID-19 new normal world. So when do you expect Chinese people will start traveling abroad again, especially in UK and Europe? And what companies can do right now to engage with these Chinese travelers?
Yes, current the travel industry, most of the companies, they might not offer any much in terms of the travel related service, because at this time is the best way is to provide the Chinese travelers with more information, more contents on travel, to showcase the potential destination, to inspire the people to consider for their next trip. So very much dependent on the pandemic situation in the UK and in Europe. We live in hope. We still hold a very optimistic view. So we're confident that the travel industry will gradually recover in 2021. So like us, we are do lots of we release our new lifestyle platform. So we are working with the different British companies, British retailers, British tourism board to showcase the best content on our lifestyle platform, and to enhance, to engage, keep the engage and to engage with our existing and potential customers and also our travelers, and also very important to improve always in so this is which I would think is very important to keep the loyalty and affinity with your customers during a crisis. So I think that at this moment at this period, so the content and for the content marketing and for any kind of the engagement with your customers to show the well-being and the travel well-being, which is still a very important way to improve the loyalty and affinity during this difficult time. But we look ahead, we still hold a very optimistic view for the travel and the retail business, especially in the UK, has so much resource to and to showcase to the wider audience, especially for the upper middle class families.
Excellent. I think you make a very good point that companies should not stop communicating just because people are not coming. And actually, it's a very good time, a golden opportunity to capture new audience, to build relationship with them at this time. So hopefully, when things are back to normal, then they will come to you as a first point, because you have been so good at communicating with them all this time.
Yes, we have to. Exactly. This is something we are keeping and to engage and to communicate with our potential and existing travelers and ensure we have they have the nice trip in the coming future.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Colin. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for in terms of asking you questions, but we really appreciate the time that you spent with us. I'd just like to share some of my impressions of what you've told us in this session. So point number one that I got was the role of bloggers and social media influencers, and one phenomenon being tourists in China, maybe globally, but particularly in China, following in the footsteps, so to speak, and visiting, basically following the itineraries of bloggers and influencers. So that's number one. The other number two that I took was the idea of the photo-worthy destination, and for me that was such a powerful concept, because you can really imagine people taking selfies of themselves in those situations. And then number three, which I guess relates to this, is the requirement for storytelling, whether it's in the form of live streaming or other types of content, which is about engaging the customers and inspiring them to make those journeys as well, so that they can picture themselves in those situations, being in that location, experiencing that experience, whatever it is. And then the final point is obviously the one that you've just been discussing with Sally, which is the need for continuing engagement, especially in this time, continuing to educate and inspire and share the inspirational stories about what will be possible as once the restrictions gradually begin to be lifted. So thank you very much indeed, Colin. I really appreciate the time. All that remains is for me to say thank you to you, the audience looking at this. If you've enjoyed this, please do share this video. And if you have any suggestions as to future people like Colin that we should be reaching out to, please do get in touch. Sally, could you remind everyone of the email address for that, please?
Yes, if you have any inquiries, or please do email us at chinamasterclass@11kconsulting.com.
Fantastic. And that concludes this webinar. So thank you very much again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you, Paul.